On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by First Fidelity Bank, we jump right into local college football news with an interview with Soonerscoop.com's Carey Murdock. Carey broke the news that the Big 12 would be moving forward with a fall football season. We get Carey's thoughts on everything, the Big 12's new protocols, the keys for the season to actually happen, OU announcing 25% seating capacity, and of course, OU's schedule. In the National College Football Roundup, we break down the latest updates from the other four conferences in the Power Five. Spoiler alert, the Big 10 and Pac-12 aren't playing football in the fall. We wet the beak with the odds for the newest NBA award, player of the seeding games, give you our winners and losers of the week, and bring you the latest update from the OSSAA regarding high school football in Oklahoma in Keepin It Local. Please download and subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and write us a good review. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search Oklahoma Breakdown on any of those, and you'll find us. All right. Our man Michael Hosty will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown. It's a beautiful Thursday, August 13th, and you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by First Fidelity Bank. First Fidelity Bank is a full-service financial institution based in Oklahoma with tailored solutions for all your personal and business needs, checking accounts, saving accounts, home loans, and much more. They do it all, whether it's online banking from your computer or mobile banking from your phone. Everything is stress-free with FFB. Making mobile deposits, paying bills online, and moving money to different accounts couldn't be easier. First Fidelity Bank provides free ATMs worldwide, making banking convenient wherever you are. And how about these offers for new customers? If you open a new checking account or savings account, they give you $200. If you open both a new checking and savings account, they give you $500 free money, people. They also give back to the community. FFB donates a total of more than $500,000 to local charities and educational foundations. Make your life easier and go bank with First Fidelity Bank. Visit ffb.com for more information. Now, recording this on Wednesday night, the Thunder are currently in a nice, tight battle with the Miami Heat. And where are you, Teddy? Like, okay, I know if you watch the YouTube version of the podcast, you'll be able to see it. But, Teddy, you are in your car?
That's right. I'm in my car, so no laughing. There could be some passers-by giving me some weird looks here in a little bit, but I'm in my car at Big Cedar in the parking lot. So that's what's happening here.
Okay, so I've heard good things about Big Cedar. Thumbs up, thumbs down with your experience so far.
Everything about this place is fantastic except for one small detail. No conference rooms to do a podcast in. Other than that, everything is fantastic.
Did you ask? Were you like, excuse me, do you have anywhere I can do my very, very kind of not popular podcast?
I didn't want to. I didn't throw the podcast out there, and I just said if someone was wanting to conduct some business privately, is there anywhere that you guys have internet and there's like some little conference rooms or whatever? And I could tell the lady, she kind of like laughed and caught it, almost like swallowed the laugh at me. It's like, oh, no, we don't have that. Sorry.
Were you just like, okay, good talk,
everything
thanks.
else, though. Yeah. They have everything in the world you could ever imagine except for that, which, hey, I get it. You're on vacation, not supposed to be working. But
okay,
this isn't work. This is fun.
Yeah. First of all, we're so proud of you that you are doing the podcast while on vacation. But wait, so the last 48 hours in the college football world, I mean, holy shit. And you're telling me you've been on vacation during all of that?
I picked the perfect week to go on vacation because, typically doing the radio show, this is like, I know it's exciting because there's so much stuff breaking, but as far as doing a radio show, it always ends up being, I don't know, we'll see what happens. It's going to be crazy, so there's really no, It's just pure. I mean, I like to speculate, probably more so than the next guy, but when you have no real hard answers about anything, it's frustrating and it's a long 4 hours. So I was happy to just, I had my phone with me and it would completely fill up with text messages with the same question. What's going to happen? Who have you talked to?
I
And
don't
it's
know.
just, it's so comforting to be able to say, don't know. I don't
I'm on
know.
vacation, bro. Sorry.
Hey, if you hear something, you tell me.
Yeah, let me know what you hear. But there is so much going on in the world of college football, especially locally. So we're going to get right to it. And we have the pleasure of interviewing the man that broke the story that the Big 12 would be moving forward with a fall football season, and that is Carey Murdock from Soonerscoop.com. And this interview with Carey is brought to you by Will and Wiley Hard Seltzer. Guys, stop acting like you're too manly and just accept it. Hard seltzers are amazing, and there's only one hard seltzer that we drink on this podcast, and that is Will and Wiley Hard Seltzer from Coop Ale Works. It's perfect for any occasion. We drink it by the pool, at the lake, and at the tailgate, and at Big Cedar, I'm guessing. It's made in Oklahoma, and it is absolutely delicious. Will and Wiley is customized for the Oklahoma lifestyle. Go find it right now in a store near you, and go follow them on social media at Will and Wiley. If you are drinking some, tag us in your social media posts to let them know. The guy that keeps tagging me about it in Joplin, Missouri, I don't know how much I can help you, but just keep doing it, and maybe you'll get some Will and Wiley in Joplin, Missouri.
It's like he's got reminders every like 45 minutes to tweet at you to tell you he doesn't have any up there. That's fantastic.
Just
if
stay
anything,
persistent.
We'll give it like 2 more podcasts, and if he still doesn't have any, I'll buy the guy some and FedEx it to him if he wants me to.
Wow. What a guy you are, Teddy Lehman.
For the people. For the people.
That's what this podcast is. It's for the people. There's no doubt. All right, here's Carey Murdock. It is our pleasure to be joined by the Big J himself, Soonerscoop.com's finest. He is one of the morning animals on WWLS, the sports animal in Oklahoma City. He is also the man that runs the Unofficial 40 podcast. He is the most popular man in America. Carey Murdock is in the house. Carey, how does it feel to be that important?
I'm really not. I appreciate the introduction. It's just good to be with you guys. You know, Gabe, I have been with you since your journey began in radio, and Teddy, I've paid attention to everything that you've been doing. And man, I got to tell you, this is not just a suck up portion here, but Teddy, dude, you have come so far in radio, and you do such a good job. I mean, from the guy you were when you started out to the guy you are now, you are literally, you've become one of the best radio guys in the area. And I really enjoy listening to your show on Sports Talk as well. So you guys,
well, I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Means a lot, Carey. It really does.
Well, are you guys done complimenting each other? Because I want to give Carey some shit because listen, we always have guests on here, Carey, and they always use the video component of the thing. And now I'm going to have to do a lot more work on the video thing. And I know
what are you going to use as a picture?
It says my name right there. I mean, that's all people need.
I am going to find the worst picture of you on planet Earth to use for the YouTube video.
Hey, use the picture he tweeted that one day whenever he shaved his head, or
that's
the haircut
exactly
he gave himself.
what I'm going to use.
That's fine.
I'll tell you though, Gabe, in all fairness, if we didn't have a video component, you couldn't tell right now that I was doing the show from my car in a parking lot. So
it's very Norman of you.
Sometimes it helps.
Homeless chic.
Homeless chic. All right, Carey, let's get to it, man. I mean, you broke the story that the Big 12 was moving forward with fall football. I mean, just
did I though? Didn't we really know that it was? I mean, by the time that meeting was over, didn't we really? I was just the first one to confirm it, that everybody and their dog was
Dude,
trying to do. I don't know
when
that I really
someone
deserve much credit.
gives you credit for breaking it, just take it, right?
I'm not good with this stuff. I don't, you do something like that, and I'm sure you guys understand. I mean, you make a good play, you got to move on to the next one. You don't get to sit there and gloat because all of a sudden you're going to miss the next thing. That's how I look at it.
But Blake Shelton never tweeted about any of our plays.
That was pretty good. When somebody with 20 million followers quote tweets you, I'll take that every day. I'm not going to lie. That got me jacked up a little bit. It was hard to go to sleep last night. And plus, I started listening to Blake Shelton music.
If you get a Blake Shelton
Sangria is a
retweet, then
fantastic song, by the way.
that makes it official that you did break it. I mean, whether it's true or not, that endorsement right there counts for everything.
I'll say this. I was a little pissed off at ESPN for not crediting us, which they usually, they credited us on the Caleb Kelly thing. So, I can't really bitch too much, but yeah, they didn't credit us properly. When I know Sam Kahn's name was on the story and he was retweeting and liking what we were doing that night. So anyway, I'm not bitter.
Well, here's the thing that I want to know, because the Big 12 they're pushing forward as far as we know right now. They came out with a new schedule. They've moved some things around. As we know right now, as things sit, the Big 12 is planning on playing football this fall. But I think a lot of people may be getting way ahead of themselves, as if this is like it's official that we're going to actually play football. I mean, there's a lot of time between now and kickoff. I mean, I know this helps a lot, but there's still a chance we don't play football this fall, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And right now is the critical time because students are coming onto campus. You saw last night that Jalen Redmond had a very nice night and ended up getting popped by the popo. So, the players are off right now. They're going to come back. Who knows who's going to test positive and have to go back into quarantine when they start. But this is it. And look, I know you guys have probably seen what OU is doing as university to try and mitigate this and the steps that they're taking, having classes only like in auditoriums and not having small classrooms and doing a lot of stuff online. So I think it is a pretty good environment. And I think I've been really impressed by the fact that the team seems to have taken this very seriously and quarantine themselves as much as they can to not, get a lot of positives. So bringing students, though, back, bringing the population back, everybody is not going to be as careful or as mindful as the players have been. So this is, and it's not just at Oklahoma. It's at Texas. It's at Iowa State. It's at Baylor. Like, how are these other teams going to do when they're mixed in with the general student population and they're practicing doing contact drills every day?
Carey, is that what you think the key is for the season to actually happen? Is it more the players and the coaches and the testing numbers within the football facility, or do you think it has more to do with the testing numbers and what's going on in the community around the facility?
I don't really – that's kind of why the Pac-12 shut down, is because they couldn't test enough to the doctor's advice. They could not have contact practices that were sanctioned by their medical board because the outbreak in California mainly. And they wanted them to test every day, and nobody's going to be able to do that in college. The NBA can do it. The NFL is going to try it. They in the Big 12, I was on Bob Bowlesby's teleconference today. He mentioned they'll be tested 3 times during the season, and when they play teams outside of the conference, they have to adhere to those same standards. I think everybody was so worried about the myocarditis stuff, like that was going to derail everything. And that ended up not really being a big factor because they realized, well, we can just add all these heart tests on to make sure that we're not putting someone back on the field that could be in danger of a really serious situation. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it really is just going to be a crapshoot. I think the thing is, guys, kind of like with baseball, you're going to have a Miami Marlins incident and get past it and not panic and not just shut everything down. You're going to have another Cardinals team. I mean, you're going to have somebody that really is going through it that's able to quarantine and maybe has to shut down for a couple of weeks, maybe have to shut down for a month, and be able to survive that, move past it, and not have it, just derail your entire season. Because it's going to happen somewhere. Somewhere it's going to happen.
Well, the Big Ten and Pac-12 are out, and I mean, some people have and I don't know that this is anyone in any official capacity, but it's probably fans and people that cover the sport up there. But there's still some people that feel like maybe there's a chance that the Big Ten, it's not over for them yet. Like maybe they're going to salvage this thing. I don't think that's happening. But
don't you love how Nebraska's already got that second-class citizen treatment where Ohio State can come out and say, well, we want to explore our options, and the Big Ten just smacks down Nebraska as fast as possible when they say we want to explore our options.
Well, you got to win more than 1 or 2 games a year before you start saying you're going to explore something. Well, the question, though, is this. The ACC is still kind of sitting on the fence on this thing. You got the Big 12 and the SEC that are moving forward. You got the Pac-12 and the Big 10 who, as of right now, have canceled fall sports. And then there's the ACC that, they've already made their schedule. They've brought in Notre Dame. They've made all these moves to ensure the ability to play this fall. But the commissioner has said, we're taking in all the information and we're going to make a final decision coming soon. I mean, what side do you think they fall on? I mean, you've got a bunch of schools there that really, I mean, you got Notre Dame and Clemson. Outside of that, you can throw Florida State and a couple other in there, but there's a bunch of schools in there that really are basketball schools, and I don't know that they care that play football.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Is like, and the other thing is, if you are, let's say you're Texas Tech and you lose your first 4 games, and we all know that's a pretty good party campus in Lubbock. Like, I do worry about those teams that really have nothing to lose, and players that probably don't really give 2 rats ass. I mean, when it gets down to it, like, to me, baseball players, they're staying, compliant because they're making a living. Football players, if you're not having a good year, maybe you're not playing, maybe you lost your job and you haven't played in 3 games, like, that's a recipe for disaster. Yeah, you got benched. I mean, you're a quarterback that got benched, and somebody else came and just started tearing it up. Like, those are the situations that I think most about, and I think coaches think most about, to kind of keep them up at night.
Carrie, do you think it's possible, even let's say that, the Big 12 starts, they're playing games, do you think a team like, Kansas could start 0-4 and look at the financial situation, how expensive it is to test these guys constantly? Do you think it's a possibility that a team that starts off really poorly in a season could just be like, you know what, we're shutting it down. This is costing us too much money. We're not winning any games. Why the hell are we doing this?
Yeah, I mean, Kansas, from what I know, was one of the teams that was not for moving forward. They were just fine with canceling a season. I think West Virginia with Gordon Gee, whatever, the bow tie guy that was at Ohio State.
He wants to play. That man wants in the game.
I mean, there were some rumors that West Virginia might not be in, but he's a different guy, man. I mean, he's a weird dude, but Kansas, yeah, that's a pretty good example. Now, Gabe, are you saying that they will hatch a plan to kill Les Miles if things don't go well?
I'm not sure I'd go to that link. No, I'm not. I would like to be on record saying
lick
I
him
don't think they will
and,
kill
you know,
Les Miles.
awful
Well,
lot around
can
him.
can you confirm, Carrie, that they haven't already done that? I don't know that anyone has seen Les Miles in a long time.
He's just got to stop it with that shoe polish hair. I mean, just we know you don't have completely, you know, jet
It's
black hair.
natural.
Lance.
What do you mean? It's natural.
Well, here's the thing, though. You know, Kansas, it's going to be expensive with all the protocols, but I'll tell you what's more expensive is not getting your Big 12 revenue share from football. That's expensive. And if you pull the plug, I mean, if you've got a bunch of guys that have the virus and you've got a legit reason, okay, then I get that. But if you just say, you know what, we're out of the running here, we don't want to continue. I wonder what that means for your share. And here's the other thing to think about, man. Especially if the ACC doesn't play, but even if they do, instead of think about all of the inventory that ESPN usually carries as far as football games. I mean, it's packed from morning to night, nonstop on about 5 different channels. But you've had a lot of the non-Power Fives cancel. Okay, you've had 2 of the big Power Fives cancel, and another one's on the fence. Guys, their ratings and the amount of people watching their games are going to be through the roof. And the inventory to advertise on college football is so small that I imagine the rates are going to go way up. And if you've only got 3 Power 5 schools that are playing and they end up sharing all of this revenue, there could be a ton of money out there for these guys. That's just a theory. I don't know if there's any truth to that at all, but that's kind of the way I've been looking at it here in the last couple of hours.
Let me ask you guys this. What are the chances that we see a circus component to this season in terms of, you know, a lot of stuff,
teams.
a lot of stuff with social justice going on, but I mean, all these guys in the Pac-12 that were having these Zoom calls demanding all these things, they're not playing. What if they got time on their hands and they just start going from campus to campus, trying to start rallies to shut down football, you know, trying to get attention for their cause? I mean, like,
I have a feeling if they did that in the state of Oklahoma, they would be respectfully escorted off the premises.
Yeah,
right?
Make sure you bring your football gear with you if that's what you're going to do.
These are going to be some pretty big dudes, though, probably, that can take care of themselves.
What they're doing right now is not thinking about coming here and protesting. They're thinking about what did we do to ourselves to where there's going to be people playing football this fall and we're not. That's probably what's going on.
Yeah, but I mean, it's something that they can try and do from home. I mean, they can certainly continue to do that. And I hope that they do, because I mean, look, I thought some of the demands were ridiculous. I mean, there's no way you can pull off a 50-50 revenue split. But at the same time, I hope that continues, you know, to some extent. But yeah, when you have teams that aren't doing well, are those guys reaching out to them, trying to get them to kind of help take a stand? You know, whether it through the media or in games or boycotts or things like that. I mean, I just wonder if that doesn't kind of rear its head at some point this season, if you do get 6, 7, 8 games down the road.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. I'm not sure I'm sure there will be some component of that. And that's something that people need to remember is the social injustice stuff. That stuff's not going away. The players are going to do some things that maybe some of the fans don't like, but they're going to stand up for what they believe in. And you have to respect that. You do. You don't have to like everything they do, but you have to respect their freedom of speech. And I definitely think that that is going to be a big portion of this season. And I think that's why a lot of guys want to play. They've become more aware of their platform, Carey, and I think they want to use that platform to spread some of those messages and to spread awareness of those issues. I really do.
it'll be interesting to me just because, I've watched almost all the NBA stuff. And of course they have it on their jerseys, they have equality, Black Lives Matter. You see it on the court, but mainly people are there for the game. So I wouldn't say there's a ton of opportunity. And, in college, the players aren't standing out on the field for the national anthem. They never have. Where that's different with baseball and in the NBA, and even the NFL. I mean, NFL, they don't stand, right? Or no, they do. Obviously they do because Colin Kaepernick. But, I don't know how much of an opportunity you're going to have pregame to make any kind of a statement if you're a college football player.
They usually don't have any time at all. I mean, college footballs, they don't do the anthem. Ohio State's the only place I've ever seen do the anthem with the players on the field.
Right.
Usually that's if anything, it's only when the captains are out.
But so damn big, they got to use it somehow.
That's true.
Now, Carrie, you kind of hinted at it, what the stands are going to look like. OU comes out and they announce the plan is 25% capacity in the stadium there in Norman. Sounds like they're going to do everything they can digitally, and it seems like it could work. I kind of liked what they said they're going to do with the concessions. You could pre-order them and pick them up at certain locations, but they've used
the term. Are you really concerned about the concessions with your carving station where you're going to be?
Damn right. I'm going to find that bird. But what were your thoughts on the plan in general? It seemed like a reasonable plan that if we do play these games, that they can pull this off.
People aren't going to want to hear this. I don't think that college football needs fans this year. I don't think they need media in the press box. I mean, I'm including myself. I mean, I think that, to give this thing a go, to do everything you can. It's just like with the NBA, you watch and everybody at first was like, why are they wearing masks? They're all being tested. They're all, they all know who has it in the bubble and no one has it. And my response was always kind of a sports analogy, like, well, the NBA is not just trying to beat coronavirus. They're trying to dominate coronavirus. Like, you want to do everything. Just because you're winning doesn't mean that you need to, stop pressing, that you need to stop doing more to be great at something. And I think they can put the fans far enough away where they won't really impact the players, I think. But at the same time, you're dealing with bringing people into the stadium. You've got security. Security are going to be moving around a little bit. Could you pass it, on to a sideline personnel person? Like, I don't know, Gabe's probably laughing because he knows what a quarantine freak I am. I don't wipe down my groceries anymore. I haven't done that in a while.
Neither do I. We got out of that phase. We're out. We've moved past it.
I do still have them delivered though. But, I'm a proponent of being as careful as possible and doing everything you can to allow this season to happen. Bands and cheerleaders and stuff. And even, I hate to say this, but having Eddie on the sideline, as much as we love having video of games and stuff, I'm a proponent of doing everything you can, and that would include eliminating fans for this first year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not against that. I'm just curious to see what the effect of that is. If it almost turns every game into a neutral game. Right. I know Oklahoma's going to have 25% there, but 20,000, 15, 17, 20,000, whatever that number is going to be, that's a lot different than having 85,000, the Jumbotron going crazy, the third down stuff playing. I mean, in football, basketball, there's definitely a factor, right? Especially like playoff games, you get a defensive stop. I mean, I get that. But in football games, you have to communicate with 10 other guys whenever you're on the field. And when you've got 85,000 screaming fans that are pumped up, out of their mind for a big moment in the game, it makes it hard to communicate. It's curious to see what it's going to be like. And we can obviously play the game without fans, no problem. But I wonder what it translates to TV. Basketball, in my opinion, so far hasn't been that bad to watch. You don't even notice it after the first game and first couple of minutes. You just tune it out. Wonder if that's going to be the same with football.
But that is, simulated crowd noise. They've done the thing with the virtual fans. I know college football is not going to really be pulling that off.
Well, TCU's been simulating crowd noise for years. I complain about it every time I go there. They pump it through the speakers around the bottom bowl of the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that happen, in a lot of places. I mean, wasn't Tennessee blamed for the same thing with all those monitors they have around the stadium?
I don't know that they were pumping in crowd noise, but they were pumping in some Lil Jon, the loudest I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, my God. That was really annoying, being down on the stadium floor. No, but I think it kind of goes hand in hand with what, one of the things I liked about the Big 12 is they actually stated, like, as much as we're concerned about the virus and its effects on the kids and the players, we're also kind of, concerned about the mental health of the players in not playing a season. Like, what is that going to do? And we've all been through it. We've all, been locked in at certain points, this or that. We've all had to get out. We've all been a little stir crazy. We've all probably been, I know certain people in certain degrees have suffered, certain amounts of depression as this has gone along. So I do think, I'm not one of these truthers. I'm not a COVID truther. I'm pretty clear that I'm freaked out most of the time by germs. But I do think that what is it that say the cure can't be worse than the disease? And I think there's some truth in that. And I think having fans in the stands makes it a better experience, not just for the players, but for the people at home, because it is it is weird watching baseball with no fans in the stands. It's just not the same. It's sterile. It's not as enjoyable. And so I think if you can let 25,000 in or 25% in, and it adds to the atmosphere of game day, then yeah, I'm not against it.
Now, Carrie, they did actually come out with a schedule, and I know that you have combed through it and you have some stuff you would like to bitch about, I'm sure. So what are your biggest complaints about OU's schedule?
That they're in the Big 12 still? Is that acceptable?
Oh, my gosh.
I've only had that as my running complaint for about 8 years now.
That, when you look at their home schedule, it just gets more depressing every year. No, I mean, obviously, Kansas State and Kleiman's doing a great job there. That's a tough opener, considering that you lost that game a year ago. And as you said, who knows how much home and away is a component of this thing. I mean, OU had a pretty ridiculous schedule from the jump. I mean, having
front-loaded.
Yeah, Texas, Iowa State, and Oklahoma State all in those first four. I like that they put Bedlam back. I think the one thing that I noticed most when I saw this is, a trip to West Virginia near the end. I wonder if that game will even happen. Like, will we even get to that part?
That would be the one game that'd be the one game that I wouldn't, if we get to that point and it's canceled, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I don't have to go to Morgantown. Great. Here's my thing, though. Are we about to have 3 national champions in a calendar year? Are we going to have a fall champion, a spring champion, and then a full champion in the calendar year? 3 national championships?
Are we going to have 2 Heismans in the same year?
I don't know.
I'm of the opinion we won't see spring. I don't think it's going to happen.
Well,
I think the Big Ten and the Pac-12 have eliminated their football for 2020 and 2021.
I couldn't believe that the Big Ten came out and they were like, you know what? We just started having these hypothetical conversations about what spring football could look like on Monday. How had they not had that conversation? I mean, it was always a very real possibility that college football would get pushed to the spring. And they haven't even talked about it? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, of all the
Some have even
scenarios that you've gone
advocated
through.
for it. How can you advocate for it if you don't know what it's going to be?
You know, and I know Ryan Day has kind of said some odd things about, you know, mid-semester should be able to play in the spring and it not count against their eligibility, which if you're at Ohio State, I don't know why you care, because most of those kids that you're signing are going to play 3 years and go pro anyway. I mean, it's just, I can't see. I mean, you guys can answer this better than anybody else. I mean, what it would do to your body to play spring and turn around and play in the fall?
It's not perfect, obviously. I mean,
it's doable. It's doable. Let's be honest. I mean, spring ball, back when Teddy went through spring ball, I can only imagine what it was like. But when I went through spring practice, I mean, dude, it was fucking miserable. You talk about long practice with tons of reps. Like,
you only get 15 of them and they want to maximize everything.
Yeah, and you're not playing games, and the coaches remind you that you're not playing games, that you need to get better, you need to be going hard in practice. Like, spring ball sucks.
Yeah, we're not playing games, so let's have a 45-minute full-on tackle to the ground period at the end of every practice. It's like a 45-minute game at the end of every day.
I mean, spring ball
Probably
practice
inside
is
drill
awful.
every day.
Oh,
here's the thing. I mean, if they're going to have a spring season and then play a fall season, they better start that sucker as early as they can. Because if you're ending in like middle or late May, and then you've only have June and July to recover and try and like put on some strength, put on some weight, get some conditioning, you know, that stuff usually you work on that for 8 months before you go to training camp. You know, the cycle of football is you spend 8 months working on your body, gaining weight, preparing, and then you spend 4 months destroying yourself, and you know you're whittled down to nothing, and then you've got to start over again from scratch and build back up. You know, if they're done in middle of May, late May, and only have 2 months to try and build themselves back up to start a training camp again, it's going to be brutal. They better get that sucker started quick.
Well, Ryan Day had said, you know, he wants to start in January. And essentially, you look at a season, September, October, November. That, I mean, it's a 3-month season, and then you usually have you start your championships there at the start of that 4th season. So, you know, January, February, March, I mean, you're done basically at the beginning of April.
So what they're going to do is they're going to start in January. That means they're going to have to start training camp like late December, which means they're going to be playing football while everyone else is still playing football. So what have they even accomplished?
oops.
And how does, and I don't know, I don't know. I mean, obviously the Big Ten is sitting there willing and ready to televise anything that they possibly can get. So I don't think the TV component of it would be wrong. But yeah, I would think February would probably be, I mean, it seems to me your camp would have to be in January, and the earliest you could start would be February. And then you're like the XFL.
You could maybe, I don't know, maybe start the Saturday before Super Bowl Sunday, something like that, or maybe the weekend after the Super Bowl. I mean, that seems like a natural fit to me, but I don't think it's possible to play anywhere near a full schedule if you go with the spring season. I think that they should probably cap it at 8 games, right? Because you do have full weeks of practice, so it's really adding up. And if if you only play 8 games, you can spread it over 2.5 months and be done pretty quickly. So I don't think it's going to happen. I hope it happens just for the players, just so they can get things on tape. But the fact that they hadn't even thought about it, that's the most alarming thing to me. I think logistically it's doable. But the fact that they haven't even thought about it, Carey, it's crazy.
You got to think that Ryan Day is on that schedule because he wants to give Justin Fields a chance to, like, start practicing. Like, maybe he can do something before the draft gets there, before he has to start worrying about that. Like, maybe he can convince him, look, you don't have to worry about all this working out to get ready for the draft. You're going to be playing football, and you can just go right into the draft from the end. Because, like, that's his only hope. But that's the other thing. It's like, that's fine. You're not playing, though, when everybody else is playing. So
it may be a good thing.
Are you really trying to win a championship in that scenario?
Think about this, though, guys. I mean, how often, if we had the NFL draft on New Year's Day or even the middle of December, how often would it look a lot different than it does in April or May? Whenever you're drafting on what you just saw on the football field, which is what should matter. But after all this other time, you look at 40, you look at 3-cone, and, well, I don't know about his background, and he got, arrested when he was in the 8th grade for open container. I mean, they end up going through all this crap that doesn't even have anything to do with football. So
Kyler Murray never did anything athletically. I mean, he just went out there and threw, and he was the number 1 pick.
I mean, being able to go directly into the draft right after you won a Big Ten championship or something, I mean, that you'd be the freshest thing on all the scouts' eyes as far as football. So I don't know, it may be a benefit.
Yeah, it could be. I agree.
Here's what I wonder, though. Are they just going to play, Gabe, like you mentioned, a short conference schedule and then have like a Big Ten championship and then that's it? Or do you think there'd be like a Big Ten champ, Pac-12 champ +1 game or something?
Ooh, that'd be fun. Sign me up for that. I'm in.
I mean, they gotta have some type of conclusion to the season, or else what are we even talking about?
It's probably just for the TV contracts, right? You try to make that money.
That's what we're talking about. Yeah.
That's really what we're talking about. But I am all for you play some sort of Big Ten schedule, you play some sort of Pac-12 schedule, and whoever they crown as the conference champ, those two teams play each other. That would be badass. I'm all for it.
There may be more football in the spring than there is in the fall.
But then Alabama and Clemson's going to be like, we won in this too because we won.
Yeah, no doubt. True. Their spring, it's like our spring practice has gone pretty good. You guys got an extra spot?
Guys, who do you think?
I'd be here for that.
Who do you think Oklahoma State paid off to start conference play with West Virginia and Kansas?
Well, T-Boone's gone, so I don't know if I believe that theory.
I saw that and I was like, well, that is a very easy start for the Cowboys, and I'm not mad about it. I like how Oklahoma State's schedule lays out. That game against Texas, I think it's on Halloween, right? That game that's going to be a big one. Now, once
maybe
again,
Mike Gundy threatened to be a special correspondent for the OANN the entire
well,
season.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, depending on how much it costs to buy it off, maybe Trump did it for him.
He's a big college football guy. I don't know if you guys heard all his quotes.
Right. Yeah, he's clearly in this for the love of college football.
And Carey,
and not pandering to his base or anything.
Carey, one last thing. You have been my go-to guy with questions about the toilet in my new house.
Oh, yeah. I'm curious how this is going.
It's going well, but I realized I didn't really know. Is there a proper order to go in? Do you have a go-to order with the what do they call these water toilets? It's basically a toilet with a bidet, so water's getting sprayed up my butt.
You
which
got
is
the big one. You got a see. I just have
Big one.
I have the conversion bidet, where yours is specifically designed from the ground up as a bidet. It's Japanese. It's it's wonderful from what I hear. I don't know why Teddy is, not on board with this.
Oh, Teddy's not a bidet shamer.
I've never said I'm not on board.
He's just shaking his head, though.
Well, it's a weird conversation, and you've got a conversion.
It's your body, Teddy. Embrace it.
I'm picturing like someone just put a nozzle in the middle of your toilet bowl, and I just don't know how that works out.
It's kind of what it is, though. But it's a gentle nozzle. It cares about you. I mean, I think Gabe does have the enema mode on his, which I don't have, and I'm curious what that's
Some
like.
people like to be cleaner than others, I guess.
Yeah, but here's you want to know what is my cleaning regimen, like how I do
the order. Yeah. Give me the order. That's what I want.
So, mine has two modes. It has the female mode and the male mode. The female mode goes up a little bit further, obviously, which can be a benefit at times. So I start off with the heavy stream, and I go from the back to the front kind of a couple of times, and then I go to the wide stream, and then I raise myself up a little bit on the bowl so it gets a lot of coverage area, and then I go back to front, and then I go middle stream, and then I finish off with a nice heavy stream from back to front again. And I might shimmy back and forth a little bit as in that final pass. And the water at the warmest setting, I'm not a big cold water guy. That's a little bracing. And then the dryer at the end, I like a cool setting on my dryer. I don't like heated drying because you can't feel the heated drying. The cool drying, you can tell that it's doing its job.
Where does wiping factor in? Is that after all of this process?
Well, here's what you do. You start out and you wipe, but then you realize once you perfect the system for you, wiping is gone. There's no more wiping needed. But yes, you do want to wipe just to see. And of course, you're always checking your underwear when you change every day just to see if anything's left behind. And I'm proud to say I have reached residue-less underwear for months.
Wow. Now. How about, I've got an idea for you, because from your description, I could barely keep it together. I'm picturing you shifting all over the place on top of your toilet seat, which is quite the picture. But if you want it perfect, you need a camera installed, a bowl camera.
An anus cam?
Yeah. That way
Welcome to the Carrie Murdock anus cam.
I can't lie. I do kind of want to know what's going on down there at times. Like, angle of attack and things like that.
You're probably like, wow, now that's not what I imagined at all. It's a completely different view.
Huh. But I have a pretty little butthole. How about that?
Yeah. It's life-changing, I'm telling you. I mean, it's literally been the best thing that's happened to me during the pandemic. It really is.
And on that note,
you know how it is. I mean, it's like you get to our age, and there's only so many things you can buy yourself that makes you happy. Like, this has legitimately made me so happy.
Who talked you into it? I know you didn't just on a whim say, hey, you know what I actually need? I need a bidet. There's no way that just came across your mind.
Here's the problem. I'm single. and I've got nowhere to go, and so I've had some extra money jingling around. And I think I saw it on the internet one day. You know what it was? I got caught up like in Facebook with the stupid little cheap Chinese ones that you just put on your toilet. So I ordered one, and it took so long. I convinced myself that I needed to upgrade to one with a remote, with the heatless water tank, or ductless water, or whatever you call that. And then I saw the term oscillating, and I was like, I'm sold. I've got to have that. By the way,
The
you
So
don't need
oscillation
the
is
oscillation.
You've got
You
you're
don't-
telling me yours has a remote and
Oh yeah, user settings. It's like a Lexus. It has automatic seat up and down. It's a big boy toy.
I could tell.
And on that note, go join Soonerscoop.com. Go download the unofficial 40. Catch Carey every weekday morning on WWLS, the sports animal. He is one of the morning animals, and he is a
You just
big
found out
J.
why. Yeah.
He is a big J journalist. Carey, thank you
By the way, shout out
for
to Eddie Ratto too. He was a big part of breaking that. So,
always a shout out to Eddie Ratto. Thanks, buddy.
all right, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks to Carey Murdock for that very informative conversation, Ted, I think is probably the best way to put it.
Very detailed. Very detailed. I'd like to see your handwritten notes from that cleaning routine and see if you follow it.
Yeah, I can't get the image of Carey just like shimmying on the toilet to make sure he gets every crevice. All right, let's move on to the National College Football Roundup. Now, we touched on some of it in our interview with Carey, but just want to make sure we get you guys all this information. That's brought to you by Insurica. Do you own a business? If you do, you need Insurica in your life. Insurica is one of the country's largest insurance brokers with 30 offices throughout Oklahoma, Texas, and the Southwest. Insurica is able to customize programs by accessing the latest information from many insurance carriers. They compare and contrast coverage offerings and pricing in order to design a cost-effective, comprehensive program to meet your business's specific needs. Insurica's clients become best-in-class businesses by working with Insurica's team of advisors to manage risk. Purchasing insurance is only one way to protect your business. Best-in-class businesses win by avoiding a loss in the first place. If your business partners with Insurica, you'll save huge amounts of money and take back control of your total cost of risk. I'm an Insurica client, and you should be too. If your business wants to be best in class, connect with Insurica at Insurica.com. That's INSURICA.com. The Big Ten embarrassed itself. Now, despite the fact that Jim Harbaugh and Ryan Day and James Franklin and Scott Frost, holy shit, how about that guy? Despite those guys' best efforts, the presidents voted to cancel the fall football season, and they said they will try to play in the spring, which might be possible, maybe not. But the thing that bothered me, Ted, was the lack of detail from Kevin Warren. He basically came out and said that there was, quote, too much uncertainty regarding potential medical risk to allow our student athletes to compete this fall. And that's what he said. I mean, that was that. While the Pac-12 came out and they talked about all their medical reasoning and you understood why they were doing it, and they were clear, they were transparent, they were very open, they had doctors answering questions, the Big Ten did none of that. I thought that they handled it, especially with the caliber of football programs in their conference and the caliber of universities in their conference. I was shocked that they handled it so poorly.
Well, I don't understand like what the uncertainty is, and that's what Kevin Warren said, with the uncertainty, we can't push forward and play football in the fall. There's been over 5 million cases in the United States. There's not a whole lot of uncertainty. I mean, there is tons of data on it. We know exactly who's affected. We know what's going on. We know best practices to treat it. We know best practices to avoid it. To try and avoid it. There's really no way to avoid it, but there's best practices involved. I don't understand what they think is going to be any different in the spring than it is right now. The virus isn't going to be completely gone. It's not going to disappear. It's always going to be there. And if your players are, still are going to be at risk of someone contracting it, the long-term ramifications are still going to be there in the spring. So I don't know what they've accomplished by pushing the thing off.
Yeah, I think they're really just hoping for a vaccine. We're all hoping for the vaccine to come as soon as possible. And maybe Vladimir Putin found it. According to him, they found it over there in Russia. But
yeah, everyone will be really quickly to go ahead and just inject that Russian vaccine.
You know what? Go. I'm good, Vlad. I'll wait for the American version. It's okay. Now, I thought the Nebraska thing was hilarious because it was clear before the Big Ten canceled, they were making their last-ditch effort. They came out and said, we want to play. We will consider what we need to consider. We'll try to find any way to play in the fall. And, I think that even after the Big Ten canceled, they expressed their disappointment and hoped that it might still be possible for them to compete. But there's no way they're leaving that Big Ten money. I mean, they are making a fortune just getting their ass kicked in the Big Ten. They have not been any good the last several years. And everyone kind of shit on them, right? They were like, hey, pipe down over there. You haven't won anything in this conference. I kind of felt bad for our friends in Lincoln.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, I feel bad for anyone in any conference that wants to play, feels they need to play, and aren't going to be able to because they're in the minority whenever it comes to voting. Now, not exactly sure how all of these votes have gone down. They haven't told us exactly what schools voted which way. At least I haven't seen that. So I feel bad for them. There's been talk about some teams leaving conferences to play with other conferences just for the fall, and I don't think that's going to work out, unfortunately, with the way things are right now, with the way the TV contracts are drawn up, that the other schools aren't going to allow you out of it. So I don't know that there's anything you can really do. I hate it for those teams.
Well, Kevin Warren, the commissioner of the Big Ten, was asked about Nebraska playing football this fall. And I believe his quote was, no, not and be a member of the Big Ten Conference. So
maybe
it was made very clear. It was, come on home, baby. Come on home. You know you belong in the Big 12, not in the Big 10, Nebraska. Come on home.
I mean, I wouldn't mind that. And quite frankly, great. I bet they would like to be back in the Big 12 as well. But, I do think, and I don't know what this means for Nebraska this fall. It's most likely they're going to stay in the Big Ten. But I do think that there is a chance that whenever the conference realignment stuff does happen, that a lot of folks are going to remember how this whole situation went down and maybe try to align themselves with some more similar thinking universities.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Now, still, the craziest thing in my mind was Pete Thamel's report that the Big Ten began hypothetically discussing what teams would do in the fall if the season was pushed to the spring on Monday. Monday night is when they started talking about it. I have no idea how this wasn't discussed thoroughly in the last 5 months. We always knew it was possible. And the fact that they don't even have any semblance of a plan at all from what it sounds like. I mean, that is baffling to me, Ted. I think that just shows a lack of leadership. I think it really does. I kept reading it over and over going, there's no way that's what he meant. There's no way. There's no way. And I mean, I've heard the same quote from him several times now. It's unbelievable to me.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you what they're going to be doing this fall. It took me about 10 seconds to figure it out. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to use what little money they have left in their athletic department to go buy knee pads, and then they will be going all over the country, getting down on their knees, begging recruits to not leave them and go to other schools that are actually playing football at the time. This is the worst thing that could ever happen to you recruiting-wise.
Right.
I know there's probably, as of right now, there's kids that are out there that are thinking, yeah, I mean, this really isn't going to affect me. They're playing in the spring. I'll be able to sign early and I'll be able to get there. Maybe I'll be able to compete. But, man, once they start seeing other schools out there on the field playing, and Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Southern Cal, some of these big-name teams that traditionally have recruited really well aren't out there, and who knows what the recruiting rules are going to look like, it's going to be really, really bad for those schools, I imagine, when it comes to signing recruiting classes. And Ohio State is set to sign the best recruiting class they've had in a long time, maybe be the number one class. The last time I think it's only happened once since 2010 that the SEC didn't sign the number one overall recruiting class. I think Florida State did it once. And this was going to be a chance for Ohio State to be that. We'll see if that holds up. My guess is maybe not.
Could see a lot of decommitments coming really soon. Now, we give the Pac-12 a hard time on this podcast. We do not hide our feelings about our friends out there on the West Coast because, well, they just don't love football as much as we do. That's just a fact. But I do respect how the Pac-12 went about it. Now, the Pac-12 voted unanimously to postpone all sports, including football and basketball, through the end of the year. They said they will consider a return to competition after January 1st, 2021. Now, they said that all of the Pac-12 institutions didn't feel comfortable, right? They were united. And Larry Scott said creating a bubble was impossible in college athletics. And John Wilner from the Mercury News said there were 4 main reasons for the Pac-12 canceling. And it was they did not feel like they had the proper availability for frequent and accurate testing with quick turnaround times. They were worried about the viral spread in the Pac-12 cities. 9 of the 11 cities, they said, are experiencing alarming coronavirus numbers. They looked at the health restrictions in Pac-12 cities. UCLA and USC can't even have players play catch with the football right now. And in some areas, if there was one guy that tested positive, because of local rules, the whole team would have to quarantine according to those rules. And then they cited the word of the week, myocarditis. Myocarditis. The Pac-12 doctors informed the coaches and ADs on myocarditis, and it was, quote, eye-opening for them and, quote, made it real. Now, of course, doctors don't know the long-term effects of COVID-19, and we're not going to know that because, well, it's a new virus, guys. I don't know when we'll be able to say we know the long-term effects, but I anticipated the Pac-12 canceling. I really did. I thought that they would be the first one, but I appreciated how detailed they were when they did it. I thought when you compared what the Big Ten did and what the Pac-12 did, the Pac-12 leadership, I can't believe I'm about to compliment Larry Scott, but the Pac-12 leadership looked organized. They looked very reasonable. It looked like it was well thought out. They gave you all the reasons of why they were canceling. And by the end of it, when they laid out all that information, I was like, well, shit, yeah, they probably should cancel. Yeah, that sounds like a bad situation out there.
Well, you always have a good explanation whenever you've got more time. Like the Big Ten, Ohio State and everyone was planning on playing football up until about a week ago. The Pac-12, whether they said or not, seems like they made their decision way back in March or April that they weren't going to play football. So they've been able to really write a full pamphlet as to why they are not going to play. And here's the thing, man. Universities, you could say what you want. The athletic departments, the universities, like, that's not really the problem with the Pac-12. The problem with the Pac-12 is government, state and local government out there. I mean, the lockdowns are very stringent. You pointed it out in LA. You can't go out of your house to do anything. Heck, pretty much the entire West Coast are on total lockdown. The only way you can leave your house is if you're going to firebomb a federal courthouse. Other than that, you've got to stay inside for 24 hours a day. So that's been one of the biggest problems with them is, just the local ordinances that they would have to deal with are way too restrictive, way more than they are in Oklahoma, Big 12 territory, SEC country, and even most of Big 10 country for that matter.
Yeah, so no Big 10 football, no Pac-12 football in the fall. So it got me to thinking, what will I miss most about not having those conferences in the fall? Number one for me, I wanted to see Ryan Day and Jim Harbaugh fist fight. I really thought, because remember, he said he was going to score 100.
That was great.
He said Ohio State was going to score 100. I believed him when he said it, and I think they may have fought after that football game, and I wanted to see it, Teddy, and we're not going to get to see it.
Yeah, I mean, for the Pac-12, I think maybe the only thing I'm going to miss is
Penei Sewell.
Yeah,
he's
coming
really
home after a long day of working an OU football game. It's usually, not that I'm not complaining at all, but it's usually a 10, 12-hour ordeal to sit down in front of the TV and say, oh, my God, I forgot they play football out on the West Coast. There might be a Pac-12 game on, and that's whenever I've got Washington State or someone, and that's what I'm going to miss about the Pac-12. That's it. It's just the fact that there's late games on.
Yeah, watching some Pac-12 after dark games when you're maybe a little bit tipsy. You've had a couple beverages after you've gotten home, celebrating an OU win. Yeah, that I'm gonna miss that. You randomly turn the TV on and you see Utah playing, and you're like, wait, football, let's go.
I was always excited about that because I get to watch Mike Leach in Washington State almost every Saturday night, but that's gone, so maybe I won't miss anything about it. Now, tell me if you agree with this with the Big Ten. I think maybe conference-wise, as a unit, they may have the best group of uniforms out of any other conference, if you compare them. Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, throw Nebraska in there.
You're all about the traditional uniform. You love a traditional uniform.
Now, they do have Maryland's. That does not work out good for them. But I think uniform-wise, the Big Ten maybe about as good as it gets.
I don't know if I'm going to miss the Big Ten uniforms that much. I'm going to miss the random trophies. Because every time two Big Ten teams play each other,
the Paul Bunyan axe,
there's a trophy on the line. Like, they have a trophy for everything. So I'm going to miss those, like, all of a sudden you look and they're like carrying some giant bucket off the field. You're like, wait, why is that for, like, what's that even for? It's like every one of those games has a damn trophy.
Yeah, that is funny, which brings up another question. Maybe the only way Iowa State can beat Iowa is by cancellation. I mean, do they win this game since the Big Ten is the school that's not playing here?
I don't think Matt Campbell and his guys would want it. That feels like a cheap victory. The cancellation, that's not Matt Campbell's style. I think they may have beat him this year, which is probably the frustrating part for Matt Campbell and for all those players in Ames, but we'll never know.
Here's something else that I wanted to bring up. What is the last time a Big Ten player won the Heisman Trophy? Because they had as good a shot as they've had in a long time this year with Fields at Ohio State, one of the front runners.
When is the last time a Big Ten player won the Heisman Trophy?
Listen to this. They've had one player win it in the last 20 years.
Is it Troy Smith?
Troy Smith is the only
what?
Big Ten player to win the Heisman Trophy in 20 years. Ron Dane won it in 1999. Since then, Troy Smith is the only player to win it. Is that crazy or what? Now, in the 90s, they had plenty of guys win it. But that's it. Once, Troy Smith in 2006 is the only guy to win it. That's crazy, isn't it? And they have a fantastic chance to do it this year.
Yeah, that is crazy, but I guess wow. So, yeah, I'm sure that the Big Ten is like, well, there goes that chance, and it sucks that we probably won't get to see Justin Fields play any more college football. That kid, whoa, electric. Maybe he'll transfer back to Georgia. That'd be hilarious. But one other thing that I will really miss about Big Ten football, and it's one of my favorite things every year, you're watching a Big Ten game, Wisconsin is playing, and they put the graphic up for the offensive line. The heights and weights of all of those whole milk drinking white boys, and they're all enormous. And I love that graphic, and the fact that some poor soul at ESPN or Fox isn't going to make that graphic this year, that makes me very sad.
Every time you see that, you feel like it should be a John Madden teleprompter. Well, look at this guy here. He's huge. You see that guy next to him? He's huge as well. I mean, it's they all look like the same exact guy all the way down the line. It's pretty funny. And they put out some really, really, really good ones.
And it seems like there's like an O-line factory there in Madison. And I guess one other thing I'll miss in the Pac-12, it is gorgeous when USC and UCLA play each other. That may be, you talk about good uniforms, Ted.
True.
That UCLA blue and that USC, I don't know what they call burgundy or red, whatever the hell red that is probably the most aesthetically pleasing game in college football for me, and
especially when
we won't see it.
Think about whenever it's played in the Rose Bowl, the surrounding area, beautiful in the hills, the sunset going down. You got a beautiful turf field to play on. You got great uniforms, and then you pan to the stadium and it's totally empty.
Yeah. Well, next year, or no, excuse me, in the spring. Yeah. Well, I guess it's still next year. But in the spring. Yeah, they'll play in the spring. No doubt. Okay. Quick update on the ACC and SEC. They both put out statements, said they're going to keep listening to their medical experts, say they're going to keep continuing to follow their protocols that have been successful for them. The ACC Medical Advisory Group came out and said, or the head of it, the chair, Dr. Cameron Wolf with an E, so you know he's smart. He believes a fall season can be played safely, said it's going to be expensive. It's going to take a lot of work. And then probably my favorite thing about the two statements, Greg Sankey comes out passive-aggressively and says, you know what, I look forward to learning more about why the Big Ten and Pac-12 canceled. Like, just rubbing it in on them. I was like, oh, I see what you did there, Sankey.
What do they know that we don't know? Nothing. I don't think so. I wish Sankey would come out and say, we've decided not to listen to our medical experts anymore, so we're going to continue with the fall season.
If he was just completely honest, yeah, which is probably something he wants to say, but he won't. Greg Sankey, once again, very measured with anything he says. All right, Ted, let's move on to our segments. And since it's Thursday, we are going to Wet the Beak just a little bit. And Wet the Beak is brought to you by Tim Hughes Custom Homes. Are you looking to build your dream home? If so, Tim Hughes is the man you're looking for. Tim Hughes Custom Homes is a one-stop shop for all of your home building needs. He can find you a lot. He can find you an architect. He'll find you financing. And of course, he can build your dream home exactly the way you want it. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, Tim found my wife and me a lot. He found us an architect and built our new home. Tim and his team were so easy to work with. Matter of fact, he brought some people to show an example of his work today to my new house. So hopefully they liked it. He's also built several office buildings. So if your business is looking to build a custom office, Tim Hughes is your man. You can see Tim's custom builds throughout Gaillardia, Nichols Hills, Oak Tree, Stone Mill, and Rose Creek. It is a great time to build the house of your dreams. For more information and to see Tim's spectacular work, visit his Instagram page at Tim Hughes Custom Homes or visit timhughescustomhomes.com. All right, Ted, we have one set of odds we are going to look at, and that is for the latest NBA award, Seeding Games MVP, which
I love that.
The NBA comes out and says they're going to name the NBA player of the seeding games, and they're going to name an all seeding games team. 5 guys. So there are some odds out there for seeding games MVP. Right now, the favorite, Damian Lillard at -500. Guy has been absolutely unbelievable in the last couple of games since he missed those free throws that Patrick Beverly clowned him for and kicked off that beef we love so much. He is averaging 56 points per game, 7.5 assists, and shooting 45% from 3. The next best odds, Devin Booker at +150. The Phoenix Suns are still undefeated in the bubble. Looks like they're going to be in those play-in games in the Western Conference. He is averaging 30.3 points per game in the bubble. Luka Doncic has the next best odds at +500. Luka is averaging 33, 11, and 11 in the NBA bubble. TJ Warren, even though dealing with some plantar fasciitis, according to reports, he is also +500. He averaged almost 35 points in his first 5 games. Came back to earth a little bit on Tuesday, and he's averaging 31 points per game now. And then Giannis, his odds are at +800. I don't know if headbutting Mo Wagner helps or hurts his odds, but he's going to be suspended for their last season game. He probably wasn't going to play anyways. But, Ted, who do you like? Lillard -500, Booker +150, Doncic +500, TJ Warren +500, Giannis +800. Who you like?
I typically, you know me, I want some odds if I'm going to be gambling. I typically would not like to lay $500 to win 100. But in this case, it's so short. Damian Lillard is going to win it. I think it's. I don't think there's any doubt that he doesn't win it.
61 points in a game they had to win. I mean, it was unbelievable.
So he's gonna win it. So I would lay 500 to win $100. You know, in gambling, you might scoff at that, but if you're investing money and you could get a 20% return, you take it every single day of the week. So I would take Damian Lillard on this. Here's the other thing, though. Giannis headbutts a guy and gets one game. One game?
They're not going to suspend him. Listen, with how well this thing has gone, right? And it comes out, Sham says it again, no positive tests again for the NBA. With how well this thing is going, the guy that is going to win MVP of the league is not going to miss any playoff games. It just, I mean, and it was a soft headbutt. Teddy, he was just saying hi to Mo Wagner. Come on, man. And it's Mo Wagner. If it was someone of, I mean, frankly, if it was someone important, yeah, maybe he gets 2 games, but
I'm telling you,
Mo Wagner.
If someone headbutted me like that on the floor of an NBA game, you'd have to put me in a straitjacket to get me out of there. Or maybe he would knock me out, okay? One of those things is going to happen. There's no way you let someone headbutt you like that. There's no way.
So you're mad at Wagner. You're not even mad at Giannis. You're mad at Wagner for not defending himself.
I'm mad because Giannis is so arrogant that he thinks he can headbutt someone as they roll into the playoffs and only get a 1-game suspension. I wonder why he thinks that, because they back him up with it. Total crap. And yes, I'm pissed at Wagner. I mean, come on, man. Your family's watching. You kidding me?
I think he's German. Maybe
maybe they're not watching.
Maybe they're not watching. I would assume they are.
They're watching soccer while he's playing in the NBA.
Wow. That probably cuts deep for our man Mo Wagner. But I think Devin Booker, you look at
got a shot, man.
Got a shot.
He's got a shot at it.
Puts together another really good performance.
It's not enough return, though. It's only plus 150.
Right. That's a good point. But, man, I really, if we would have had this conversation before the Pacers game on Tuesday, I would have put my life savings on TJ Warren. That guy was, I mean, he was on fire. But I think he only had like 12 points in that game. Kind of came back to earth a little bit.
And here's something to think about, too. They may give an award like that to someone who's no way going to win the MVP or something like that. So that may edge it to a lesser known guy like a Warren in there. So
that'd be cool. I mean, he's played so well. So I think it'd be really cool because, I mean, Damian Lillard, Devin Booker, Luka Doncic, Giannis, guys are making a ton of money. Now Doncic clearly still on a rookie deal, but I would like to see a guy like TJ Warren win this, once in a lifetime award. Like this is never going to happen again, hopefully, in NBA history. Like if a guy like TJ Warren, talk about a random like trivia answer, that'd be kind of fun if a guy like that won it.
No, I like that. I definitely like that. Whenever guys that typically don't have a shot at something else get an opportunity to take home some hardware, I'm all for it.
Yeah. And then I believe James Harden also has odds at plus 800, and he's kind of in the conversation, but I think he's definitely in the conversation for the NBA all seeding games team. Now, one guy that's not really in it is Russell Westbrook. He has an MRI on his quad, shows that he's got a little strain in there, Ted. Not going to play and is going to be reevaluated before the playoffs start. Let's not forget, the Rockets are likely going to be the Thunder's first-round opponent. Teddy, should we start searching for some odds that the Thunder win that series? Because if it's a Westbrook that is not 100%, I'm sure that fire inside him will still drive him to do some great things. But I just don't know, man. I like the Thunder. If Westbrook is hobbled, I like the Thunder. And by the way, the Thunder just came back and beat the Heat 116-115, and it was fucking awesome.
that locks them in then, right? To
Rockets. Let's
That's
go.
it's locked in.
Westbrook. Thunder. Let's go.
Hey, you know what? And this is probably Homer in me coming out, and that's fine. But dude, with as many defenders as the Thunder have, and as athletic as they are on the perimeter, I mean, it's not that bad of a matchup. Thing is, you've got to hit threes to be able to score with them. You do. You can't go out there and shoot 25% from three and feel like you're going to be able to score with the Rockets.
Right. One thing, though.
It's got a ton of storylines, though. Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Harden.
And the Thunder, they've got a lot of long bodies, athletic guys to throw at James Harden, to make his life miserable, to make him really, really work.
Hey, if
Robertson's
his
points.
The guy. Robertson's the dude that knows how to defend him like no other.
Yeah, so I think now I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be the matchup. Thunder, Rockets, let's go. That's going to be so awesome. All right, Ted, let's move on to our winners and losers of the week. Winners and losers are brought to you by Advanced Weight Loss Clinic of Sand Springs. They'll help you execute a realistic and achievable weight loss plan designed for you and only you. They've got all kinds of treatments for men and women. Their licensed and trained experts combine diet and exercise with hormone therapies to maximize your results. If you're struggling with low libido or low energy, Advanced Weight Loss Clinic of Sand Springs can help with that too. They also offer Botox and fillers. To get on the path to losing weight, call 918-241-LOSE or visit their Facebook page. If you mention the podcast, you will get a free fat burner injection. All right, Ted, who do you have as your winner of the week?
Dude, the winner has to be Jim Harbaugh, right? He gets jabs in on Ryan Day, and then the season is canceled, moved to the spring. He doesn't lose to Ohio State in the fall. And in the spring, let's be honest, man. If you're Fields, are you playing football in the spring? There's no way.
Hell no.
There is no way. So if they play this thing in the spring, you're going to have a really good shot, as good a shot as you've had in a while at Ohio State. You've got a good returning core. You're going to have a hungry football team. Ohio State's going to have multiple guys that aren't going to be playing because of the NFL draft. Jim Harbaugh may have delayed this thing into an actual win over Ohio State. Now, that's saying a lot because I know they've had them. They beat them once or twice since 2003. It's crazy, but hey, Harbaugh may actually get a win out of this delay.
Yeah, maybe. I'll believe it when I see it because Michigan, they've also got some good players, and some of those guys aren't going to be playing in the spring either. So if I had to make a prediction now, give me Ohio State in that game.
Yes.
There's no doubt. I mean, they've beat them 15 out of 16 times. Yeah, I'll take the Buckeyes in that one. All right, Ted, who do you have as your loser of the week?
Oh, loser. It's a tie for loser between the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals. And the reason I'm picking them as loser, when Ohio State is really good, the pro teams are able to fly under the radar a little bit. It's like, well, yeah, the Browns and the Bengals aren't any good, but man, Ohio State, we're going to win a championship this year. It's going to be a couple years with the Bengals and the Browns. Not this year, man. Unfortunately, Ohio State's not going to be playing. The Browns and the Bengals are going to be under a microscope. Everyone's going to be watching every move that they do, and the scrutiny is going to be through the roof.
And Ohio's going to be all kinds of fired up in the month of November as well, right? Oh, it's going to just be – it's a combination of very dangerous factors.
They're going to have to watch a Big 12 quarterback and an SEC quarterback playing on their teams while they're playing college football, and the Big Ten's not. It's going to be brutal.
Well,
because you know that they're going to be. I mean, right now they wish they were the SEC, ACC, and Big 12. They wish they were playing, but now that they're not, they're going to start blaming and hammering the SEC and the Big 12. That's just how these things go, man.
I do feel better about the Browns than I do about the Bengals. I do think the Browns are going to be better this year. I think that could be a 10-win football team. I think that I don't know. They got to have some things go their way, but dude, I think Baker I think he took the offseason a lot more seriously. He looks good. They got some new jerseys. Number one, they addressed their offensive line issues. So I don't know. But
they've got the roster.
They've got
to be
talent,
able to do
man.
It. The problem is Cleveland. They've gone through phases where they've had good players. It never gets pulled together. Maybe this will be the year.
Maybe we'll see. I'll believe it when I see it. I was part of a 1-15 football team there in Cleveland. That was really fun. All right, then my winner of the week. People that haven't been to the Masters. Follow me on this. So this sucks, right? Augusta National announced that the 2020 Masters that is going to take place November 9th to 15th will not have any patrons or guests. They said the risk is too significant. I feel for everyone that isn't going to get to go. But I feel pretty good for people that have never been, like myself.
And me.
And you. We've never been, because although I feel bad for the people that were planning on going that had tickets, that can't go, I don't think I'm going to miss having to hear those people talk about how life-altering of an experience it is, because we all know those guys. I went to the bat. Dude, you ever been? No, dude, I've never been. Oh, I don't even know how to describe it, man. It's the best place on the planet. It's like, dude, you have to go. You haven't been? No, dude, I just told you I haven't been. So I'm kind of excited that I don't have to hear those guys bragging about the life-altering experience that they have at Augusta National. Like, listen, it's cool. I get that, but it can't be that cool. It can't be that good. Like, you make it sound like it's better than everything else on the planet. Like, I understand it's probably really awesome. Like, I get it. Yeah, the concessions are cheap. Everyone knows that. Please stop telling me. I get it.
I love the conversation. It usually goes like this. Oh, you've got to go. It was like $2 for a beer and $1 for a pimento cheese sandwich. And then I say, well, how much did you pay for that T-shirt? Oh, well, the T-shirt was $275, but,
What about that cup? Yeah.
Yeah, but the pimento cheese, which, by the way, Gabe, I like almost everything when it comes to food. I like seafood. I like steak. I like pretty much everything. Pimento cheese sandwiches are horrible.
I'm glad you said it.
Horrible.
Sometimes, since we started doing this podcast, sometimes I feel like we're starting to get on the same wavelength. Like, the brains are meshing. Pimento cheese, first of all, in the realm of cheese, it may be the worst. Like, I don't like it. I'm not going to pretend I like it. You're not a pimento cheese guy? No, once again, I'm not. It's fine. Everyone can have their likes and dislikes. It's fine. I'm so glad that I don't have to hear these assholes talk about how much they love the pimento cheese sandwich at Augusta National. We get a year off from all of that. Thank you.
I don't think they like it. I think they choke it down just to say they've done it. I tried it, and like I said, I like everything. I'll try anything, and very rarely, I can't even think of anything right now that I don't like. I like Brussels sprouts. I like
Love them.
Everything. I took a bite of a pimento cheese sandwich and like almost spit it out. Didn't finish the sandwich. Is like, no, that is. I'm sorry, but
I'll say
no
this.
more.
I'll say this. I would rather eat a Beyond Meat burger or an Impossible burger before I ate a pimento cheese sandwich, please.
I'd rather eat the north end of a southbound moose than a pimento cheese sandwich.
What a stupid saying. Oh, I love that. But hey, 1 year off from people that go to the Masters being able to brag about it. I'm sorry, but it's 1 year off. They'll be fine. They'll get back to their
We could
bragging
have made
ways.
fun of them, though. It could have been like, sorry you had to go whenever it looks like shit compared to what it looks like in the spring with the azaleas.
That's
I feel
true.
bad for you, man.
That's true. But the 2020 ticket holders will be guaranteed their same tickets for 2021. So everyone that was supposed to go to the Masters, it'll be all right. All right, my loser of the week, Instagram models. In what has to be the most hilarious official press release from a professional sports league of all time, or memo, whatever the hell you want to call it. The NBA put out a memo about who NBA players can bring into the bubble as guests. It's family, right? Close friends. They don't count the kids the same. Like, it's very reasonable. And then Woj put this out there. He said, and this is a quote, but once guests become allowed when the playoffs start, these people are not allowed. Quote, any individual the player has not previously met in person or with whom the player has limited in-person interactions, for example, known by the player only through social media or an intermediary. I have questions about that, but I feel so bad for the thirst-trapping Instagram models. They thought they were going to get in the bubble, Teddy, and literally, hey, kudos to the NBA. They understand their players. I can only imagine how devastated James Harden was when he saw this.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess my question is, how do you enforce this? Excuse me, Mr. Harden. How long have you known Brittany XXX? I've known her for 4 or 5 years. We went to the same high school. Like, how are they gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do they know how many times you've met this person or seen this person? They're gonna go through your social media profile?
I think that they will
honor system? Yeah, right. We'll see how that goes.
I assume that the NBA has a pretty thorough investigative team, and they'll do some digging, right? Now,
Well,
some other people that aren't allowed, tattoo artists, personal chefs, massage/physical therapists, agents. But yeah, I just
think about it.
They made a rule so that Instagram models can't come to the NBA bubble. That is hilarious.
Well, here's the thing: is as often as Lou Williams goes to Magic City and all the other NBA players, I mean, there's a long history of knowing the ladies there, so they should be able to get in just fine. And watch the NBA's bubble go from tight, secure, no positive tests to an absolute you-know-what show as soon as the guests and people start coming in. It's going to be horrible.
It's going to be interesting. I know the NBA, because these people are going to have to take tests, they're going to have to quarantine either in the home city of the team, or they can do it all in Orlando. There's a couple different options there, but please don't ruin it. Family and close friends of the NBA players, we have all enjoyed the hell out of this. Please don't ruin it. But the Instagram models aren't ruining it, Ted. They're not allowed in. I've known Chastity for years. It's going to be great. I can't wait. It's going to be great. The stories.
That's strange. It says here she's 18 years old. How have you known her for years?
Oh no. I've known her for 6 years. She's 20 years old. Oh my God. All right, Ted, let's move on to everybody's favorite segment, and that is Keeping It Local, where we highlight what's going on in the great state of Oklahoma. And Keeping It Local is brought to you by Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School. As schools look to reopen in the fall, parents want to provide the best possible educational experience and spiritual development for their children. There's no better place for that than Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School. A 1-to-1 iPad setting makes McGuinness students fully prepared to continue high-level learning from home. A 12-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio guarantees no student is overlooked. In addition to athletic programs and clubs, Bishop McGuinness's college prep curriculum offers 22 AP courses. Financial aid is available. For more information, visit bmchs.org. And I think they started school, so we're probably going to have to rework that ad read. I'll get right on that. I got an email I need to send. All right, Ted. Cameron Jordan writes an article in the Oklahoman detailing what the OSSAA Board of Directors decided, and they took no action during their board meeting on Wednesday. So that means that fall high school sports in the state of Oklahoma are going on as planned. We're talking full schedules and everything. Now, the executive director of the OSSAA, David Jackson, said they will continue to monitor everything closely, but didn't see anything to change course at this time, which I found very interesting. We saw what OU's trying to do, so it's like they're kind of following what's going on in the bigger picture. And I thought this was really interesting. As far as fan attendance, it's going to be up to each school. So I reached out to some people that I know that coach around Oklahoma City, and there's already several schools that have told parents of players that there's not going to be any fans at high school football games that they host at their home stadium. And it made me sad because you know how awesome high school football is. But I guess I understand. So there's going to be some games with no fans, but you get into these small towns in Oklahoma, there's no way that the whole family's not coming to the game. There's just no way, Ted.
Yeah, how are you going to tell all 40 people in town that they can't come to the local high school football game? I'm just glad they're playing. You know, I know it's not perfect.
Great point.
You know, we talked about this before. Your senior year playing football, like how important that is, and what it's like for most guys. I mean, most teams across the state, in every state, not just Oklahoma, but most teams across the state don't have guys that go on to play college football. I mean, very few actually do. So for most of those teams, it's guys that they, you know, whether like for me, for instance, my high school football team, the senior class, those are the guys I went to kindergarten with. Same guys, K through 12, these smaller schools, you know these guys from, you know, the first time you step foot into that school and you're with each other the whole time. And it's just kind of the completion of the whole time, little league, junior high, high school, all the things that you've done kind of lead up to that one moment. So it's really special. It's a coming of age for a lot of kids, boys across, you know, the United States to play their senior season of football. So I'm glad that they're doing it. It's not perfect, and I hope it goes well, but I'm glad that they're pushing forward with it.
Yeah, I just hope that as they continue to monitor everything, that, you know, things keep going well in the state of Oklahoma, and that, you know, people keep being responsible so these kids can get to play their entire high school football season. We'll see. I think everyone is very interested to see what happens with some of the numbers as kids return to school. I think we're all interested, honestly. Hopefully everyone's staying safe. Come on, we can do it, Oklahoma. We can do it. Let's go. I don't care what anyone says. We can do it. Damn it.
We got this.
We got this. All right, Ted, episode 33 in the books. We'll have a new podcast that'll drop Monday morning. Just a reminder, you can hear Teddy from 2 to 6 on Sports Talk 1400. You can hear me on Sirius XM Big 12 Radio Channel 375, which lives, baby, because the Big 12. Let's go. Hope you all have a great week. And until next time, we appreciate y'all for listening and do what you always do.